Welcome to episode 10 of Beginner Web Design, and I'm not really sure what to call this episode because it's kind of going to have a bunch of different information. And the first thing I want to talk about is tables. And what you really need to know about tables is that a few years ago, people thought that it was fine to create an entire website only using tables, with some cells having background images and other cells having text, and they would just create entire sites just out of pure tables. The reason why this was so commonly accepted was that Photoshop could actually export HTML data, but it only exported it in tables. But this is an extremely terrible way to code, and it'll just be much harder to edit, much harder to make, and chances are the page load time will be so terrible due to how many images you will put on your page in the tables. It's a terrible way to design a website, and tables should never be used as that. However, tables still should be used for tabular data. So maybe if you wanted to have a product list on your website, that's something that you would use tables for. So the first thing we have to do to create a table is use the table tag. All of our table information is going to go right into this table tag. Now inside table, there are table rows, and then inside those rows, there are cells. So each row is with the TR element right there, and that's one row going across of cells. So if we add a few table data cells here with the TD element, we can just type some text in. So I'll type in price, then I'll do another one and make it name, another one and make it quantity. And now if we preview this, we see not much here. We're just going to get this three basic little thing here. And just to better show you what it looks like, we can actually add an attribute to table called border. And if we set this to 1, we get a little border here. And usually that's not an effect that you're looking for, but I'm just going to keep it on just to show you how this works. So you could see we just have one row of 3 cells here. So if just say we wanted to add one item here, I'll make another table row, and then I'll say a new cell and make it, I don't know, $1. And I'll make this lemonade, and I'll make it 4. And now you can see it all lines up. It stays at the same width as the longest row, which is this one up here, and it just kind of fits in nicely together. We could do this how many times we want. So I could just take another table row and make this say $2 iced tea for 6, and you can see we get the same thing here. There's not really that much to tables. The only other thing there is price, name, and quantity doesn't have to go in a table row. It can actually go in a table head because it's kind of the header of the page. Or you could use the table head for something different, like I don't know, the name of your table. So if I use a table head here, I could put in a row and a cell here and make this items for sale. And that's my table head. Now one thing to note is that whenever you're using a table head, you have to automatically use a table body for the rest of the content. So I'll put that in there. Okay, and now you can see we have, here's my table body and here's my table head. Now you'll notice that the head is only covering for one column here, and that's typically what it's supposed to do because it's a data cell. So if we want it to span across multiple columns, we can use the attribute col span, and I'm going to set this to 3, and now you can see it goes across 3 columns. It's going across the entire thing now, and that works for any data cell, not just the ones in the header. And there's also a T foot if you want to use that. T foot. And we'll make a row, and maybe make a cell called I don't know, copyright drink company. Now if we preview that, we just have to add call span equals 3, and now we get that effect. So that's a pretty easy way to build the table, and this is all editable in CSS. So I'll give you an example of that. So I'm going to get rid of this border. Actually, I'll leave it on there. And let's just say we want all of the data cells to have a 200 pixel width. So we can do that if we just type in TD, and we'll set the width to 200 pixels. And if I open this up in my browser here and I refresh, we get the 200 pixels. And you could see that the table header and the table footer are automatically 600 pixels. And the reason that is just because it has the call span of 3. So it's automatically going to take on the width of 3 of these cells instead of just 1 like the others do. And you know, we could do pretty much anything. We could do background colors, background images, borders, whatever we want. And that leads me to something else that I wanted to show you. And I'm actually going to leave the table there. I'm not going to touch that because we'll come back to that. But I wanted to show you more selectors in CSS. So I'm going to make 2 paragraphs here, and I'll grab a little paragraph from my widget. Here we go. Okay. And now let's just say that we had some links in both of these little areas here. So I'll make some links here. Just some random links. Okay, now if we preview this, we see we get the 2 paragraphs, and they both have some links in them. So let's just say we want our links to be purple. So we could just type A, and then we could use color is purple. And if we preview that, our links are purple. So that works. But here's the problem with that. Let's just say we want the first paragraph's link to be purple and the second paragraph's links to be red. Well, there's 2 things we could do here. The first one is assign a class to every single A element. So we could add a class of purple to this one and to this one, and a class of red to this one and to this one. And while that works, it's kind of annoying because now if you ever add another link in the future, you have to remember to put that class on there or else it won't be applied. So what do? Well, we can use another selector. And so let's first just add a class to our P's. So I'll name this one purple, and I'll name this one red. And what we actually have to tell CSS is to select all of the A's that are in purple. So in order to do that, we type the purple class name, a space, and then an A. And this means just exactly what I just said. Select all A elements that are children of the purple class. Children just refers to anything that's inside of that element. So you can see here that this A is inside this P. So that A is a child of purple, and purple is a parent of the A. So now here in .purpleA, we can just type color purple, and you can see that all of the A's in that paragraph have that style applied to them, but the ones in the other paragraph do not. So now for the other one, we could just type red A and set this to color red, and now that has that effect. So this is purple, this is red. it all works. Now this is really helpful for the tables as well, because maybe you want your data cells to have a slight gray background, but only on the table header and the table footer, not on the actual content. Well, you don't even have to type anything extra into your HTML. All we have to do is say thead td, and that thead td just means all TDs that are inside a thead. And now we could type background color, and we'll use $DDD, which is a hex for a light gray. I know I've used that before. And now we get that on the head. Now we could duplicate that. I'll just copy and paste and make it tfoot. And now we get the same thing on the foot. Now here's one more neat trick that you can do. Instead of having two different selections here, we can actually combine them both because the same style is being applied to two different elements. The way we do that is only with the use of a comma. So we can just put a comma here and then put tfoot td. And now it's saying select all TDs that are a child of thead or all TDs that are a child of tfoot. So it's going to apply this same style to both of those elements. And now you can see we get the exact same effect. So that's it for now. I hope this tutorial has taught you a few different things. And remember, don't build your entire website out of tables, but you can use them when you need them.